Thank you very much, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. And as somebody who is a high school student, was in those metros when they were being built with my father, who was part of the construction teams building them, I have particular interest in the legacy around how we maintain these systems. So a couple of different questions. First, Mr. Wiedefeld, on the safety culture, who are you looking at? What organizations or what institutions do you think we should be looking at to inculcate the kind of safety culture that needs to be instinct?
Right.
It needs to be instinct, and I believe it does have to be from the top. There's no substitute for that.
Okay. I spent 10 years running BWI Airport, and I think that's a great example, and the aviation community in general is. It is just part of who you are when you think about safety in an airport, and I'm trying to instill that, that same sort of philosophy, and just sort of, it is who you are when you work at the transit agency.
I would agree. I think checklist manifesto, the sort of idea that that is baked into absolutely every decision that you make, and to empower workers to see that as their responsibility to get there first. Following up on what Subcommittee Chair Comstock said, I think you look at something like Click It, Fix It that is being done in cities to empower people who are users of the system, not as adversaries, but as advocates for making sure that the highest priority situations are dealt with first. So again, having recently been in Silicon Valley, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who are very eager to try to help democracy work well. And I think we need to find some way to tap into their energy and their intellectual capital in a way that helps us launch into the 21st century and not be tied up so much in, frankly, trying to update our computer systems that are 3 generations old. So I think a number of us would be eager to try to help make those connections. For Administrator Flowers, we have an ongoing issue, and it is not unique to transit, about the excitement about developing a big new system, whether it's a bridge or a road or an airport. We never put enough money aside for maintenance. For these heavily used transit systems, it's absolutely essential, given what has happened here. Do you have suggestions for how we insist that it is actually being spent as we go, that it cannot be postponed? Because we know that is the political imperative, is you'd rather go on and do something new, extend the system, whatever it is. Maintenance is never exciting, it's not sexy, but it is a disaster when the worst happens. Do you have suggestions for us as to how to restructure the deployment of that money or the incentives around it to ensure that it gets spent as it needs to be as we go?
One of the criteria that we look at with the financial plans for new capital projects is to ensure that in the financial forecast that maintenance is included in that. And I think that is going to be critical. When you're constructing a new system, you have to ensure that there's a way to sustain that system over a long period of time. Those assets are built for 50 to 100 years, and so it is just critical that you look at the way to sustain the system in the future. So that is part of the plans that we look at when we are now awarding projects. And, addressing the state of good repair as part of our program is also going to be really critical, and having funding for the state of good repair to ensure that these systems have enough funds for maintenance and that the maintenance is not deferred.
Well, I think we need to be working together to ensure that we see that progress through that list, the ticker list. This is the priority projects, and this is how far the money gets us. And then you have to come back to us or to the board and say, we are not far enough, it's dangerous, and this is what we've done, and this is what we still need to do, because you have to get to the appropriators to make sure the money's there. But we need to see the progress, and we need the judgment about on the ground what is now the critical piece that needs to be addressed, and that you're spending it that way. And finally, Mr. Wiedefeld, can you talk a little bit about the reliability and performance measures that you're going to use, what riders of the Metro should expect, or already has been discussed by some of my colleagues, already not where we would want to be, and obviously taking things offline is going to exacerbate that. What figures are you using, and how are those going to be communicated to the writing public and to us?
Sure. We do a vital signs report that basically we produce that you can go online and monitor what we do. One of the things that we have changed just recently, we used to put on our on-time performance on rail cars based on, how we managed it. We moved to a mechanism where basically as you tap in to the time you tap out is the real, from a customer's perspective, that's the real delay. So for instance, that's what we're starting to put out there as here's what's really happening in the system and not some sort of computer-generated number.
Thank you. I see my time's expired. Thank you.